There's a hard truth we often avoid. It isn't the world that weighs us down. It's us. We are the ones who carry the heaviest burdens. We cling to what we fear to lose: relationships, expectations, validation, imagined futures, as if they are extensions of our identity. But what if the very things we refuse to release are the chains keeping us from freedom? Have you noticed this pattern? Every time you let go of something that no longer serves you, you feel lighter. Every time you step back from what drains your soul, you breathe deeper. And every time you choose yourself over the noise, you come one step closer to something rare: true freedom. Because life is not about gathering more, it's about releasing. It's not a race of accumulation, it's an art. The art of letting go. In stillness, we discover clarity. In simplicity, we rediscover ourselves. And in solitude, we rebuild our strength. What I'm about to share with you isn't theory plucked from dusty books or recycled motivational flu. These are lived truths, principles rooted in Stoic philosophy and tested in my own life. These ideas didn't just change how I think, they changed who I am, and they can do the same for you. So I ask just one thing: give this your full attention. Let each word sink in. Reflect on it. Let it challenge you. Let it free you. Because every second you spend here on this journey is an investment in something far greater than success or popularity. It's an investment in a fuller, more meaningful life. Let's begin. Number 1, detach from the need to be loved. Imagine this: your life is a canvas, and you alone are the artist. You get to decide its colors, its shape, its depth. But every time you change your strokes just to please someone else, you lose a part of your vision. And in time, that painting no longer belongs to you. How many of us are living lives that are not our own? How often do we mold our personalities to fit expectations that were never ours to carry? Letting go of the need to be loved by everyone isn't selfish. It's liberating. It's not cold or closed off. It's a declaration. A reclaiming of the only territory you truly own: yourself. We live in an age where validation has become currency. One like, one share, one compliment, and suddenly we feel worthy. But is it real? Or are we outsourcing our self-worth to people who barely know us? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." True strength does not lie in controlling others' opinions. It lies in mastering your own thoughts, your own reactions, your own story. Ask yourself this: why do I crave approval from everyone? What am I afraid of if I stop chasing it? History gives us perspective. Socrates was executed for teaching uncomfortable truths. Galileo was imprisoned for seeing the universe differently. Even the greatest thinkers, artists, and leaders were rejected by their own time. So if they couldn't please everyone, what makes you think you can? Every person sees you through their own lens, a lens fogged by bias, insecurity, or misunderstanding. And here's the truth: you can't control a lens that isn't yours. The moment you release the need to be loved by all, you gain something far more valuable: freedom. The freedom to speak your truth, the freedom to live your way, the freedom to fail without shame and rise again with pride. Epictetus once said, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and your life will flow smoothly." Let go of trying to bend yourself to meet every expectation. Instead, Bend your mindset to accept this unshakable truth. You cannot please everyone, and more importantly, you don't need to. Letting go is not about rejection or isolation. It's about returning to your core. It's about recognizing that your worth doesn't depend on applause. It comes from within. Think of Franz Kafka, an author who lived in obscurity, never chasing fame. He wrote with raw honesty, not for approval, but because he had something to express. Even after his death, his work remained hidden, until his friends brought it to light. And today, Kafka's words echo across generations. His legacy was built on authenticity, not popularity. So I ask you this: if you no longer needed to be loved by others, what would you finally dare to do? Would you speak your truth, even if your voice shakes? Would you pursue a dream that others laugh at? Would you slow down and finally move at your own rhythm without fearing you're falling behind? But most of all, would you dare to love yourself without needing permission? This journey is not easy. It means facing rejection. It means sitting with discomfort. It means walking alone at times when the crowd walks the other way. But as Seneca reminds us, he who is brave is free. Courage is the gate. And letting go is the key, because once you stop needing to be loved by everyone, you can finally give love freely to yourself and to others without fear of losing it. That kind of love is unconditional. That kind of love is real. So start today. Don't let your life be edited by other people's opinions. Don't let your light dim for fear of judgment. Don't rewrite your story just to fit someone else's script. Step away, breathe, return to yourself, and write the life that only you can live. Because in the end, the loudest applause means nothing if it drowns out your own voice. But the quiet, steady beat of a heart that's true to itself, that's the sound of real freedom. Once you've let go of the need to be loved by everyone, you'll begin to notice something even more subtle. Another invisible burden we often carry without question: the overwhelming desire to know everything. If the first step toward freedom is releasing the need for approval, the second is abandoning the compulsive need for certainty. In a world where every question seems answerable within seconds, where search engines and social media give us the illusion of limitless knowledge, it's easy to believe that knowing more will give us more control over our lives. But ask yourself, has this endless chase for answers made you feel calmer or more restless? The Stoics believed that peace doesn't come from knowing everything, but from focusing only on what's within your control: your thoughts, your choices, your actions. Everything else, external opinions, unpredictable outcomes, the mysteries of the universe, is not only out of reach, but a potential source of suffering when clung to. Imagine a cup filled to the brim. If you keep pouring, it overflows. Our minds, too, become overwhelmed when stuffed with every piece of information, every headline, every answer to questions that often don't even matter. The truth is, the more we try to know, the more inadequate we feel. And in that insecurity, we burn out, mentally, emotionally, even physically. But what if you didn't need to know everything? What if peace came not from having every answer, but from learning to live without needing one? Consider someone who constantly refreshes their newsfeed, who jumps from article to article, searching for clarity, certainty, control. They rarely find peace. Instead, they find fatigue. Every answer only creates new questions, like chasing a mirage across the desert. Stoic wisdom invites us to step off that treadmill and instead ask, does this knowledge help me live better? Am I learning with purpose or just consuming to fill the void? This is not a rejection of learning, but a call to be selective, intentional, and clear about what truly serves your growth. You don't need to understand every global crisis, every celebrity controversy, or every scientific theory to live a meaningful life. What you do need is the ability to prioritize your relationships, your health, your values. Letting go of the urge to know it all makes room for what truly matters. It's not easy. Letting go rarely is. But every time you resist the impulse to scroll, to over-research, to dive into another debate, you're choosing clarity over chaos. You're choosing presence over panic. Start small. Limit the time you spend consuming information each day. Ask yourself, is this helping me move forward? Learn only what helps you grow. Let your mind breathe, because in that quiet space, you'll find something rare: peace, focus, and the freedom to live on your terms, not the internet's. True freedom, the kind that lasts, comes not from knowing everything, but from accepting that some things don't need to be known at all. When you no longer demand answers to every question, you make space for the answers that truly matter, the ones that lead to wisdom, balance, and a life lived with intention. After letting go of the need to know everything, you begin to notice how much lighter your mind feels, how much more space there is for peace and presence. Instead of scattering your energy across endless questions and trivial details, you start to reclaim it. And with that reclaimed energy comes clarity. Most importantly, you begin to cultivate intellectual humility. You accept, perhaps for the first time, that it's okay not to have all the answers, that this very acceptance is not weakness, but a profound act of courage. Letting go of the desire to know everything frees you from the mental clutter that weighs you down. It invites a deeper kind of freedom, the kind where peace isn't earned through more information, but discovered through quiet understanding. Life, after all, is not a puzzle to be solved, but a journey to be experienced. You don't need to know every twist and turn ahead. You just need to walk it with presence. Let go of what's unnecessary, and you'll uncover what's essential. You'll begin to see life not as something you must control, but as something you are called to live. So ask yourself, are you ready to live freely? Not someday, but now. If this perspective resonates with you, if you feel ready to step into your next chapter, hit like to let me know we're on this path together. And if you hold a different view, I welcome it. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to listen, exchange ideas, and grow through conversation. Now let's move into number 3. Own your experiences. Stop blaming others. Because the truth is, no one is responsible for your life but you. And that isn't just a truth, it's a liberation. The moment you blame others, whether it's a person, a system, or a circumstance, you hand away the pen that writes your story. And what's worse, you become a character instead of the author. But the moment you take ownership, you take the pen back, you reclaim the power to shape your life with intention. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Pain doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from how you interpret what happens, and you, not anyone else, have the power to rewrite that meaning. Think of video games, specifically role-playing games. You choose a character, you make decisions, and those choices shape the outcome. When you make mistakes, you don't blame the game developer. You adapt. You try again. You refine your strategy and grow. Life works the same way. You can't restart, but you can change how you play. And when you stop blaming others, you stop delaying your growth. Imagine a scenario where you walk out of a failed business meeting. You didn't secure the deal. You could blame your partner for not listening or the market for being too tough. But what does that solve? Instead, you ask, did I prepare well enough? Could I have communicated more clearly? Was my strategy effective? That's when you begin to grow. That's when you turn failure into feedback and take back control. What's fascinating is that once you accept responsibility, you realize it's not a burden. It's a form of power. Some people think walking away from responsibility sets them free, but in truth, it only leaves them stuck. Because by refusing to take responsibility, you silently admit that you have no control, and that belief will trap you. On the other hand, when you accept it fully, you say to the world, I can change. I am capable. Epictetus reminded us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. That is the foundation of inner freedom, the highest goal of Stoic living. So how do you start embracing responsibility creatively without feeling overwhelmed? Begin by treating every challenge as a puzzle, not a punishment. Don't just fixate on what went wrong. Ask yourself, what can I do to change the outcome? Then develop patience. Responsibility doesn't always bring instant rewards, but it always plants seeds for long-term growth. Finally, understand this: you don't have to do it alone. Learn from mentors, books, or communities, but never hand them your pen. Learn from them, but write your own pages. In this unpredictable world, we're often swept into storms we didn't choose. But we don't need to control the storm. We only need to control our sail. Taking responsibility isn't just logical, it's deeply personal. It's an act of self-respect. It requires courage to face your reflection, acknowledge your mistakes, and still keep going. And when you find yourself stuck or uncertain, ask the simplest, most important question of all. If today were my last day, would I be proud of the story I'm writing? If your answer to the question, would I be proud of the story I'm writing, is no, then perhaps it's time to pick up the pen and start rewriting. Responsibility isn't a chain that binds you. It's the lighthouse that guides you through your own darkness, illuminating a path only you can walk. And as you walk it, you begin to realize that the world doesn't need to change for your life to improve. It's you who must become the change you've been searching for. When you finally decide to own your story, you'll see that not every chapter has to be about triumph. Sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is step back, release the pressure to win, and find peace in simply being. That kind of surrender isn't weakness, it's freedom. And that's what brings us to the next lesson. Number 4, break free from the need to win every argument. In a world that celebrates being right, Stoic wisdom reminds us that true freedom doesn't come from being applauded or proven correct. It comes from choosing not to engage in every battle. You don't need to win every argument to affirm your worth. In fact, the more secure you become within yourself, the less interest you'll have in proving anything to others. Picture this. You're standing in a battlefield of opinions. Every sentence fired like an arrow, your heart pounding as you prepare to strike back with logic, proof, or clever words. But pause. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You always have the option of having no opinion." There is never a requirement to get worked up, to trouble your soul over things that are beyond your control. When you choose not to argue, you're not backing down. You're stepping into mastery. You're taking control of your mind. Consider the story of physicist Richard Feynman, a man known not just for his brilliance, but for his humility. He once said, "I would rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned." Feynman didn't enter debates to impose his superiority. He entered to learn, to listen, to expand. That's the subtle power of letting go, not because you don't care, but because you understand that truth doesn't need to be defended. It simply is. Many of us get caught in the trap of argument because of one thing: ego. And the ego, fragile as it is, constantly seeks validation. It's like a cracked mirror, always needing a reflection to confirm its worth. But ask yourself, in your next argument, are you seeking truth or protecting your ego? If the answer is ego, step back. Breathe. Remember that silence often speaks louder than any rebuttal. Truth doesn't need to shout. It stands calm, even when misunderstood. Let's take a relatable example. You're in a team meeting and a colleague challenges your proposal. Your instinct might be to defend, to fire back and prove your idea right. But instead, you pause. You ask yourself, is there any truth in their perspective? By choosing to listen instead of react, you transform the dynamic. You diffuse tension. You earn trust. And instead of winning an argument, you win something far more lasting: respect. Stoic philosophy reminds us again and again, silence is a strength. Epictetus wrote, "Statement. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So when you choose not to engage in petty disputes, you're not giving up. You're creating space. Space for clarity. Space for peace. Space for wisdom to emerge. Practical steps can help you embrace this mindset. First, practice the 3-second pause. When you feel provoked, take a deep breath, count slowly to 3, and ask yourself, is this truly necessary? Often, that short pause is enough to shift your response from reactive to intentional. Second, focus on the real goal of the conversation. Is your goal to solve a problem? To move forward? To build connection? Let that purpose guide your words. If it's just about being right, you've already lost the point. Finally, keep a daily journal. Reflect on the moments when you stayed silent and felt stronger for it. You'll begin to see a pattern where peace prevailed because you didn't take the bait. True freedom doesn't lie in victory. It lies in detachment, in knowing that your energy is sacred and not every moment deserves a reaction. This week, challenge yourself. When confronted with an argument, try silence. Choose observation. Watch how the energy shifts. You might find that the clarity you've been searching for comes not from confrontation, but from stillness. As we conclude this lesson, remember, not everyone deserves your energy, and not every disagreement is worthy of your attention. As Marcus Aurelius so wisely put it, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. By choosing peace over pride, restraint over reaction, and truth over ego, you're not just walking away from arguments, you're stepping into freedom. After learning to break free from the need to win every argument and choosing peace over pride, the next step is even more personal. It's about setting yourself free from the weight of ego and creating space for what truly matters in life. Liberate yourself from the illusion of perfection and you'll discover ... that true freedom is the greatest reward. Now, before we continue, I want to take a moment to congratulate you for making it this far. Your patience, your curiosity, and your presence here prove something important: that you are committed to your own growth, to your own transformation. Each part of this message has been a piece of a greater puzzle, and if you stay until the end, you'll begin to see how everything connects, how these timeless Stoic lessons form a complete strategy for letting go of what is unnecessary and discovering true peace. So keep going, because the best is yet to come. And now we arrive at number 5. Accept your imperfections. Imperfection is an inseparable part of being human, yet how often do we find ourselves trying to hide it, deny it, or mask it under layers of perfectionism and performance? We are taught that flaws are something to be fixed, but what if they are actually the gateway to something deeper? Imperfection is not just a reality you must accept. It is the very condition that allows you to grow. The cracks within you are not weaknesses. They are the places where the light begins to seep in. To embrace imperfection is not to give up. It is to let go of the exhausting burden of unrealistic standards. It is to free your mind from expectations that were never yours to carry. Stoic philosophy offers a profound perspective here. Seneca once wrote, "What progress, you ask, have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself." That one sentence contains a world of wisdom, because to be a friend to yourself is not to demand perfection. It is to accept your flaws and still offer kindness. Instead of trying to change everything about yourself to meet some societal ideal, change the way you see yourself. Imperfection is not a defect. It is an opportunity. It is a mirror that reflects back the truths of our nature, giving us space for reflection, growth, and peace. Think of the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold. The cracks are not hidden, they are honored. The golden lines make the object more valuable, more beautiful. Your life is the same. Every crack, every failure, every imperfection contributes to your story. If you try to erase them, you erase your identity. But if you embrace them, if you fill them with wisdom and grace, they become your strength. Consider the story of Albert Einstein. Early in life, his teachers claimed he lacked the ability to learn. He didn't speak fluently until he was older than most children. He was labeled as different, as imperfect by the standards of his time. But instead of being defeated by that, Einstein leaned into his uniqueness. What others saw as a flaw became the foundation for one of the most brilliant scientific minds in history. He didn't run from his imperfection. He embraced it. He used it. And in doing so, he changed the world. So how can you begin to embrace your own imperfections? Start by releasing ... the illusion of perfection. It's not real. It's a projection, a social construct that keeps you running towards something you can never fully reach. Instead of asking, "How can I be more perfect?" ask yourself, "How can I be more true to who I already am?" Practice seeing your flaws as friendly teachers instead of enemies. When you make a mistake at work, when you say the wrong thing, or when you fall short of your goals, don't punish yourself. Ask instead, what can I learn from this? Replace harsh self-talk with curiosity. Curiosity invites exploration, and exploration leads to self-discovery. Think of someone you know who is always chasing perfection. They spend hours polishing their appearance, hiding their insecurities, trying to be good enough for everyone around them. And yet, they are rarely satisfied. In the grand scheme of life, simply don't matter? If so, it's time to pause. Your imperfections do not make you less. They make you human. They make you unique. Remember, a painting isn't beautiful because it's flawless. It's beautiful because of the brushstrokes, the textures, the little inconsistencies that give it soul. Your life is no different. You don't need to hide your messy lines. Let them speak. Let them tell your story. Finally, ask yourself, if I fully embraced everything I am, my flaws, my scars, my contradictions, could I live a more fulfilling life? Could I stop trying to meet someone else's expectations and start honoring my own? Let go of the weight of perfection, just for a moment, and you'll feel something shift. You'll begin to experience the lightness that Stoic philosophy speaks of, that rare, peaceful clarity that comes not from controlling everything, but from accepting yourself completely. Imperfection isn't something to fear. It is a sacred part of you, a gift that allows you to live, love, connect, and grow with depth and sincerity. So live authentically. Love who you are, fully, honestly, without filters. Because only then can you begin to live the life that was always meant to be yours. Only when you let go of perfection will you truly be free. Embracing your imperfections is a step forward on your path to self-discovery. But to move deeper, you must confront something even more powerful: the stories you've been telling yourself your whole life. Do those stories truly reflect who you are? Or are they invisible limits that have quietly shaped your identity without your permission? That brings us to the next lesson. Number 6, liberate yourself from limiting stories. You are not the voice in your head that tells you you're not enough. You are not the silent whispers that say you can't change or that you don't deserve happiness. Those are not truths. They are echoes from the past, layered in emotion and shaped by fear. Over time, they become scripts you repeat so often they feel like reality. But they're not. They're just interpretations, formed by pain, by rejection, by moments you didn't fully understand but internalized anyway. Stoic philosophy, in its timeless clarity, reminds us that true freedom doesn't lie in external circumstances, but in our willingness to break the mental patterns that keep us small. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that for a moment. Most of the pain we feel doesn't come from what actually happens. It comes from how we imagine it, how we interpret it, how we allow it to define us. Limiting stories are perfect examples of this principle. They are not reality, but over time, they blur the line between who you truly are and what you've been told or told yourself to believe. Have you ever stopped to ask, are these beliefs actually true? Or are they just convenient walls I've built to protect myself from fear? Most self-limiting beliefs are born from fear. Fear of failing, of being seen, of not being loved. But the irony is that these stories, which we create to protect us from pain, often end up causing more suffering than the failures we fear. Epictetus taught, man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them. Meaning, your greatest pain isn't created by what happened to you. It's created by the story you told yourself about it. But what if you told a different story? What if you let go of the old narrative and wrote a new one? That's not wishful thinking. That's courage. That's liberation. Instead of asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Ask, what's possible if I stop believing this? That single question is a doorway. It opens a space where a new version of you can emerge. One who sees mistakes not as proof of inadequacy, but as powerful teachers. One who sees obstacles not as dead ends, but as stepping stones. Releasing yourself from self-limiting stories doesn't happen in a day. It begins with one small act: awareness. Realizing that you are not your story. You are the storyteller. Picture yourself as the author of a book. The previous chapters are already written. Maybe some of them are painful. Maybe you wish you could rewrite them. But the next chapter, that one is blank, and it's yours. You can start it today. Start small. Change your language. Instead of saying, I can't, say, I'll try. Instead of saying, I always mess this up, say, I'm learning. These are not just phrases. They are seeds. And with time, they grow into a new narrative, a new self. Remember, every journey begins with one step. But that first step requires you to loosen your grip on what's familiar, even if it's painful. Ask yourself right now, if I weren't bound by this story, who would I become? If I stopped believing I was limited, what could I create? What would I pursue? How would my relationships change? Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. Begin writing your new story today. Say it out loud if you have to. Say it in the comments if you're ready. I believe in myself. Because once you declare it, you begin to embody it. And as you shed the old narratives, you'll feel something unexpected. Lightness. Not because life gets easier, but because you are no longer dragging the weight of old illusions. You are free. Free to explore. Free to evolve. Free to define success on your own terms. And most importantly, free to make mistakes along the way and still see yourself as worthy. Letting go of the stories that have kept you small opens the door to everything you've been waiting for: peace, creativity, clarity, and a deeper connection to who you really are. True freedom doesn't come from changing the world outside. It begins when you change how you see yourself. And once you've freed yourself from the limiting beliefs you once clung to, there's only one thing left to do. You must face yourself. Not in fear, but in stillness. Not with judgment, but with quiet honesty. Because in that stillness, far from the noise of the world, you will find a strength that no external success can offer. A strength that has been waiting inside you all along. Embrace this final lesson, not as something to fear, but as a profound teacher, guiding you to understand yourself more deeply. Let's take this last step together. Number 7. Embrace the strength in solitude. Perhaps you've felt it before. Loneliness crashing over you like a towering wave, leaving behind an emptiness, a quiet ache, and a fear that seems insurmountable. But when viewed through the lens of Stoic philosophy, loneliness is not a misfortune to be avoided. It is something far more sacred, a space, a private realm where only those brave enough to enter can uncover its hidden treasures. Self-mastery and inner strength. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, People seek retreats for themselves in the country, by the sea, or in the mountains. But it is in your power, whenever you shall choose, to retire into yourself. Thousands of years ago, he understood what many still struggle to grasp today, that true peace is not something we find in a location or in another person. It lives inside us. Every ounce of calm, resilience, and strength we could ever need is already within us, waiting to be acknowledged. But to access that inner refuge, we must first confront one of the most uncomfortable truths of all, ourselves. And that is a challenge few dare to face. Loneliness, at its core, is not just a passing emotional state. It is a test, a rigorous and revealing test of your ability to rely on yourself. It forces you to stop searching for validation or comfort in the external world and instead turn inward. It is in this raw and silent space, where distractions fall away, that your true self is revealed. Your flaws will rise. Your fears will speak. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that we must not run from them. We must face them. As Epictetus said, "He who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing." This insight reaches far beyond material possessions. It speaks to the very essence of inner peace. If you cannot find contentment within your own presence, no external achievement, relationship, or comfort will ever fill that void. Loneliness becomes a mirror, exposing what we've tried so long to hide beneath constant activity and conversation. Without the noise of others, the mind turns inward. And in that silence, you realize that true value does not come from how others see you, but from how well you understand yourself. In this light, loneliness is no longer isolation. It is growth. It becomes the space where you build an unshakable relationship with yourself, one that cannot be broken by time, distance, or loss. And that, according to Stoicism, is the cornerstone of real freedom. Think back to a moment when you were alone, not distracted, not entertained, just present. Perhaps it was late at night, when the world outside quieted and the only sound was your breath. In that stillness, discomfort may have surfaced, fear, regret, doubt. But if you remained long enough, another realization likely followed. Even in silence, even in solitude, you were still whole. That is the strength hidden within loneliness. It doesn't weaken you. It reveals what you've carried within all along. So how do we embrace solitude in a positive and transformative way? First, change your perspective. Stop seeing loneliness as a void to fill. Begin seeing it as a gift, a rare opportunity to reconnect with the one person who will always be with you, yourself. Start small. Each day, set aside just 15 minutes to disconnect. No phone, no background noise, no scrolling. Write down your thoughts. Sit in stillness. Ask yourself the questions you usually avoid. What do I truly want? What needs to change? What am I afraid to admit? These are the questions that lead to breakthroughs. They don't require external to recommend answers. They require honest listening. And most importantly, stop treating loneliness as a fixed identity. It is not a curse or a condition. It is a skill. The skill of cherishing your own company. Once you master it, loneliness transforms from a fear into an ally. You no longer seek superficial relationships for comfort. You stop needing constant distractions. You begin to enjoy your own presence. you become stronger. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And the most profound thoughts are often forged in silence. So let me ask you now, are you willing to face solitude and discover the depth of your own strength? If the answer is yes, then you're already halfway there. Because the moment you stop fearing loneliness is the moment you begin to live with freedom. Let solitude become your companion, not your enemy. Let it become your mirror, your teacher, your place of renewal. This isn't just ancient philosophy. It's a way of life, and if you let it, it will transform you from within. We've now explored 7 powerful methods to refocus your attention inward and let go of what no longer serves you. Each lesson inspired by the enduring wisdom of Stoicism. But remember, these lessons are not merely concepts to admire. They are tools to live by. They are invitations to rewrite the way you show up in the world, not with noise or neediness, but with clarity, calm, and unshakable strength. These lessons are not just theories. They are guiding lights on the path to inner peace and lasting freedom. Remember, genuine happiness doesn't come from what you cling to in the outside world, but from the understanding and mastery of your inner world. This journey will challenge you, but every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. A victory of clarity over confusion, of courage over fear, and of authenticity over expectation. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be brave enough to begin. If you found value in this video but haven't liked it yet, please take a moment to do so. Not just to support the channel, but to help spread this message to others who might need it today. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words might be the spark that inspires someone else, the connection someone's been waiting for. And if you believe this video could speak to someone close to you, don't hesitate to pass it along. Sometimes a simple share can change a person's direction. Lastly, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This journey of growth is far from over, and we've got so much more insight, wisdom, and inspiration to come. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. I'll see you in the next video.